So relaxing yogis, and as always, just finding where you want to start, lying down or seated. How does your body feel today? Notice if there are certain little aches and pains that you're feeling, just acknowledge them. And if there's anything that is a bit tender in the body today, then just being very mindful of that. Listen to Satya and Ahimsa, the truth and non-harm, with how you move your body. Sometimes you can have a little twinge, like something that's maybe slightly nervy, but you just want to be very delicate with your body. Let's take a few breaths and just come into this moment. And just noticing the mind here. Is it busy? Or do we have that lovely connection that once we're on the mat, things start to settle? Just take a few moments to follow the breath. Become very conscious of each breath. And feel into your body. Whether you're seated or lying down, just relax your shoulders. And soften anything where you notice is tight. What's the quality of your breath? What's the depth of your breath? And rooting down, settling our energies into the Mother Earth. And what's your intention for your practice today? What's your intention for your feelings today? What do you want to draw into your life and attract? Perhaps it's peace, happy thoughts, just notice what you can focus on. Let's take a few more breaths. And when you're ready, if those of you lying down, just begin to hug the knees in, have a little rock and take your time to come up to seated. If you're already seated and you just want to roll the shoulders and move the body just ever so gently, just to come into this zazen that we're going to take for meditation. Today I'd quite like to take a breathing practice as a meditation, triangle breath. So not only are we breathing pranayama, but it's really quite mindful as well when we do this. So triangle breath, we inhale for a certain count, hold the inhale, and then exhale. So very simple. There's just one retention of breath, that internal retention. Everyone's different with their lung capacity and how they're feeling today, whether the lungs feel open or whether we feel quite closed in, and emotions can shift this. So choose whether you want to count to 3 or 4 or 5 or more. Just do it a few times on the different counts and notice what feels right for you. Today it might just be the count of 3 and then holding for 3 and then exhaling for 3, or you might feel as you develop and we sit with it, it can go for a little bit longer as we relax and it feels more comfortable. So just try and keep each breath and part to this breath an even count, not an even count, but a same count. So whatever you choose. If after a while you want to stop the count of in the mind, by all means do, because after a while of doing it, you'll get used to kind of the rhythm, and you can just sink into this gorgeous kind of rhythm of breathing. So let's relax hands, relax the body, and begin triangle breath. So inhale, hold, exhale. And again, just inhale, hold, exhale. And carry on with whatever count you decide is comfortable. Relax the shoulders. Keep your arms relaxed and your face relaxed. Notice if your breath count just becomes a little longer. Breathing into your belly and chest. And if you want to just release the count, but just still breathe in that rhythm, then you can. And we'll just do one more round. And when you're ready, you can just blink your eyes open. Notice how that felt, whether it was comfortable or whether it wasn't very comfortable to start with and then it got easier. Perhaps you didn't need to count after a while. The breath was just in such a rhythm that you knew how to breathe. So just exploring how that feels for you. We're going to come into oyster, our first pose. So just coming off cushions. And bringing right leg, to the front. So shin sort of nice and parallel to the edge of your mat, and then the left lower leg behind, rather than tucking under, just kind of bringing them out so they look nice and parallel here. We're going to feel it in our hips and round the sort of sides of our buttocks here. So just relaxing. If you need a little bit of support, cushions under the legs, please take them. And then gradually, if the body wants to, you can come forward. You're going to notice the pull around the outer hips. So gently relaxing. Notice if you're tense in your calf muscles, thighs anywhere. And as the body wants to just gently come forward, relaxing shoulders and arms as much as you can. Working with our hips, linked with sacral chakra, below our navel, our relationships and desires and joy. Keep tuning in to anything that might be tense. Nice deep breaths. And just really enjoying what you feel. You may want to move a little bit further into it as the pose softens, but keep relaxing everything. Let's just take a few more deep breaths here. We're going to come up. That wasn't the full 5 minutes. We're just going to do just under 5 minutes with this. So about 3.5. Have a moment in neutral, lying back, just so that we can kind of release the feeling from when we come into the other side. How did that feel around the outside of your body? And as we lie back, notice how we feel in the spine and lower back. Relaxing shoulders and face. Try and relax your buttocks and just notice the shape of your spine, whether there's still a little bit of tension, even if you're lying here. And soften the wrists and hands. And just focus gently on the belly breath. And when you're ready, let's hug our knees in. Just that sensation has faded away now. Let's come into the other side and explore. So as we come up to seated, bringing the left shin to the front and right one behind. Just pushing those legs forward so feet aren't tucked under, and exploring this side. Gently allowing the body to come forward if that feels right. Softening into the head and neck. Feeling that lovely sort of pull, that tightness perhaps around the hips. Helping to balance our gallbladder energy. As we start to move into the feeling of autumn, we come into the element of metal, and it's the lung and the large intestine that are associated in this season. Keep relaxing anything that you find tight. And enjoy the breath in the belly. What do you observe internally? What's your inner dialogue at the moment as well? And we use our body to become conscious and aware, and we put ourselves in these poses. What are you aware of right now? On all levels. What feelings does the pose bring up? Is it comfortable, or are there feelings of irritation, intolerance, or is it relief and contentment? The hips that we're working with here are very linked with our emotions, so it's nice to be curious. We're going to take a couple more breaths. And gently, nice and slowly lifting up. And again, just notice the difference between each side, whether there was more intensity one side than the other. Allowing us to just notice our slight imbalances or differences through the body. Relax, lie down, let everything settle. And deep breaths, taking the breath anywhere that you need it mentally. If there's a certain part of the body that's a little bit tender, imagine just sort of directing your breath there for healing. And noticing how you feel here. What's the inner dialogue with how you're associating physically? What emotions are flowing through? Can we witness these? Just coming back to the self. When we move the body, it allows us to reveal emotions and reveal feelings that we may day to day just completely overlook because we're busy and doing stuff. But when we have this stillness, we have this space to connect with our body, be intrigued by what comes up for us. It really does allow us to return to that inner self. So we'll take a lovely deep breath here and then hug our legs in, one at a time, noticing if you just need to be tender, a little bit gentle with your lower back. And with 2 blocks now, we're going to come into heart bench. So 1 long block that aligns along the spine, 1 block for the back of the head. And gently just lowering yourself down, finding that place where you can allow yourself to start settling. It always takes me a few moments just to find exactly the right spot where it feels okay. And it eventually softens as well. Right, let's open our heart. Physically and emotionally, whatever you're holding, if there's anything that's uncomfortable for you and you're holding, this is a really lovely opportunity to explore the idea of release. That's not to say release, it is literally giving yourself the opportunity and being willing to possibly let go of something. If we're holding any ill will towards anybody, currently or in the past, why do we still do that? Does it serve us, or can we find peace? Can we let go? Holding stuff doesn't ever change anything. It just stops us from being peaceful and content. A nice little kind of phrase you might use is, I am willing to entertain the idea of releasing ... towards somebody. So as you relax here, just breathing gently, trying to relax the lower back if you can. If there's still a little bit of tension there, soften the buttocks. How is our heart today? Are we open-hearted, closed-hearted, half-hearted? What's our energy? Are we downhearted, broken-hearted? So many phrases that link with emotions in the heart. What's your inner dialogue? Can we be loving towards ourselves as well? Just say to yourself 3 times in your mind, I love me. I love me. I love me. And if you can say that later on in a mirror, gazing into your own eyes, I love me. Notice how that feels. It might feel uncomfortable, or it might feel really quite warm and fuzzy. Keep relaxing where you can. Let the chin tuck in, lengthen the neck. Relax the buttocks. And we'll take one lovely deep breath. And ever so slowly, using your arms to support you, lift the head. Gaze to the toes and then gently coming up. Moving blocks and then coming down. Noticing how your spine and whole back feel. I find often the more, I'm going to say slightly uncomfortable poses yield the more juicy after effects afterwards. Always feel good. Relaxing your shoulders. Take the arms maybe slightly further away from the body. And just enjoy the breath, being on your mat. Come back to that lovely little affirmation, I love me. And then when you're ready, let's hug in, noticing how it feels in the body. Gentle movements. Nice rock on the back. And then coming up, just to counterpose that curve backwards of the spine, we're going to come into turtle. So coming onto knees. If you want like a cushion under the belly, please do. Otherwise, we're coming into essentially child's pose, taking the forehead down. And hands back to the feet. We're not going to do the whole 5 minutes here, but we're going to take a few minutes at least. Try and relax into this. If your knees need to come ever so slightly wider, just make yourself comfortable. Use a block for the head if you wish. This is a deep compression. So trying to start to relax. You might notice the tops of the legs, the hip creases will feel this. Notice if you push out your abdominal wall and tense it, or whether you can very much relax this as you breathe.
Try and surrender here mentally and physically. Relaxing the abdomen, that is somewhere that probably will continue to want to tense up. The whole front of the body. If at any point this is uncomfortable for anybody and you just cannot, it doesn't feel right, please come out. Always have the opportunity to exit a pose that doesn't feel right. Keep relaxing the belly. Notice if you like this pose today. There are times when I like this, and other times when it can feel really quite maybe claustrophobic. It's often a reflection on how we're feeling in that moment, in that day, what's going on for us. So enjoy this lovely stretch through the whole back of the body. Does it feel nurturing to you to be in this pose? The first pose we ever took in the womb, the fetal position. Breathing deeply. Noticing if you're still tensing the front of the body. So when we're ready, we're going to just take a breath and come up. Nice and slowly. Just under 4 minutes. And tune into how that felt. Whether it was a welcome pose today, whether you actually quite enjoyed it. Sometimes the idea of these compression poses are not so nice, but actually once we get into them, they feel really good. Let's open up the body. Find alignment. Open up the breath. Notice tingling perhaps on the tops of the feet and the shins. That's a really nice pose to get into, stimulating the stomach channel actually, that runs kind of along where the shin line is on the top of the leg. Also targets the bladder channel that stretches down our, kind of aligns along our spine as well. Relax the upper arms and shoulders here. And just to let the mat support you, melt yourself. So when you're ready, let's draw knees in. We're going to come into shoelace. So we've already done oyster, which has kind of opened up our hips a bit, but just taking it a little bit further in where we cross the legs with shoelace. Again, not going to hold it for the whole 5 minutes because I want to also bring in bench pose. So come into sort of a kneeling position. Cross the right leg over the left. If you want to use a cushion just to support you, because it might not be that everyone can come into this easily. And we'll just do sort of about 3 minutes here, perhaps. So a really different sensation from the oyster pose, but still very much working with the hip energy. And you can start seated upright, explore leaning forward if you want to, whatever feels right for you. Try and relax. There's probably a whole lot of tension on the inner thighs, tops of the inner thighs around the groin. Relax the belly as you breathe. Notice if the shoulders are really lifting to the ears and see if they can relax. Just explore everywhere. How does this pose make you feel? If we're holding some emotion that's just been lingering around in us for a while, we can get ever so locked in our hips. So as we sit here, even without identifying it, maybe we can just simply have the intention that any kind of emotion that doesn't serve us, we'd like to just release, let it unlock from where it's been blocked. Could be jealousy, could be annoyance, irritation, judgment. We are human, we all have these feelings from time to time. We get triggered. But they bring down our vibration and our energy, so when we can be conscious and we can release them, it's always best. Allow our positive vibration to flow far more. So just one breath, gently come out. I think have a moment back on the mat. I know that we are really only swapping over legs, but it's just nice to release the sensation so we can go into the other side with a fresh feeling. How does this pose feel compared with oyster? Again, both kind of very hip orientated poses, but maybe one is a preferred pose. Can you feel like warmth or coolness or a nice stimulation around the hips and buttocks here? Releasing what we don't need. And hips are very linked with us moving forward in life as well. So if we feel quite stuck or this seems to be things resisting our moving forward, then working with our hips. It may just be how we're perceiving something rather than reality. There might be a solution or a workaround. So let's bring these in, coming into the other side now. Have a little rock first. Nice sigh. Feeling good. Enjoying our bodies. Let's come up. Left leg to the front as we come into shoelace. Using a little cushion if you need to. How does this feel? Does one side always feel a little bit better than the other or easier? Just noticing. Try and relax the muscles on the inner thighs. Any tension in the calves or around the knees. And even here is the abdomen tense as well. Can we relax as we breathe? And let's take a lovely affirmation. I release any feeling that doesn't bring joy and peace into life today. I release any feeling that doesn't bring joy and peace into my life today. Programming our subconscious just to attract and see the beauty. The law of attraction always at work. If we're thinking negative things or dwelling or exposed to with the news and anything else, then we're likely to see it. We're likely to make that part of our day. If we put out the intention of positivity, that's what we're likely more to attract. So let's just take 2 more breaths here as we come up to 3 minutes. Just scanning through any tightness still lingering, just notice. And then gently lifting our way out. Enjoying just the unravelling, even the slow moving as we uncross our legs can feel quite delicious. Finding neutral. Notice whatever you're feeling, wherever you're feeling it. Feeling peaceful in your heart, in your mind. Just focus on the breath, a few breaths, just purely draw your awareness to the sensation of breath. And then when you're ready, we're going to bring knees in. And the last pose that I wanted to come into, a nice soft relaxing one, is always bench. Having brought the body forwards and backwards a few times today, with the heart bench and the turtle already, let's just take this last relaxing one. Sometimes this is quite nice. If you want to pull a blanket over your feet or any part of your body, we're going to take 5 minutes here. So coming back over the cushion, wherever you need it to be. I like it more under my thoracic. Let your head rest backwards. Support the neck if you need to. And let's just again be open-hearted. Relaxing shoulders and arms all the way down to wrists and hands. Relaxing the lower back and buttocks. And just take a few moments to follow how the belly rises and then falls back to the spine as we exhale. Let's just follow this for a few moments and really tune in. Inhale, belly rises. Exhale, belly falls. And breathing into the triangle that is made with your hips and navel. And as you do this, I'd like you to imagine that you're fueling yourself up, the prana in your solar plexus, which is, consider it like your internal battery. So following these belly breaths for a little while, every breath charges our battery. We replenish not only physically, but mentally and emotionally and spiritually. Tune into your connection to Source. Allow the mind to invite inspiration, wisdom. Keep relaxing. And with this position, how our heart is open, having wonderful thoughts of gratitude. Because when you're in a state of gratitude, your vibration is always high. It can never be negative. When you're grateful for your eyes and your ears, that we can walk and talk, that we have warm homes and plenty of food, and loving families. There are so many things to be grateful for. Maybe just as we lie here for maybe just a minute more, consider as many things that you can think of that you're grateful for. Just let them run through your mind without any agenda, without holding on to them. Just allow all the gratitude that you can think of to just float through your mind right now. A really lovely practice to do. You might be grateful for your favourite teacup that always makes you happy when you sit down and have tea. Grateful for your car, getting you to here and there. Electricity and warmth, hot and cold running water. Just let your mind wander. And so we'll take a breath now. Lovely deep breath. And gently lifting up. Just pull the cushion away for a moment. Come back down. Just feel the body. Just feeling so lovely. So nurturing. And then in your own time, if you want to hug the knees in and come to seated, you can. If you want to remain lying down with a blanket pulled over you, please do whatever you want or need today. If you're a little bit cold, just bring a blanket around your shoulders. There is a lovely coolness in the air. It's still nice to just be a little bit warm. So let's carry on this feeling of gratitude, because it really does put you in a wonderful state. As we lie here, let's see if we can count. It doesn't matter how far we get, to 100 things that we're grateful for. So just go through in your mind, I am grateful for. And I bet it will be easy to find 100 things. Go through your house. Go through your relationships. Go through your characteristics. Many, many things.
So when you're ready, just ever so gently draw your mind back. Hopefully you were still working through many things that you're grateful for. And as I sat here myself, I was feeling very grateful for this nice soft blanket that is surrounding my shoulders. The fact that I'm on this mat, sharing yoga with you, and for the yoga practice and the stillness that it brings me myself. So 3 lovely little things that just came to mind, purely stemming from this blanket over my shoulders. So when you're ready, just have a little moment to breathe into the body, gently move. And keeping this lovely lifted vibration for the rest of your day. If you're lying down, just rolling up to seated. Hug your knees in first, have a little rock and massage your back. There's no hurry. And have a moment to, yet again, just reground your energies through your tailbone into the earth. And we'll draw our hands to heart center. Om Shanti. Namaste.